I mean, like I said, when I first saw you, I was like, okay, I got to be friends with this guy. I don't look up to too many people,
Absolutely.
physically.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable having
And
people in
how
my
tall are you?
I'm 6'8".
6'8".
Yeah,
Oh, I
you're
said
right.
7. I
Yep.
stole an inch from you.
That's okay. I'm getting
Oh
old
man.
anyways.
Yeah, I think I'm shrinking. I think I'm only 6'4 3/4
Yeah,
now.
I think I'm going down too.
Today I find myself in Albany, New York. What am I doing here? Well, I just road tripped the F-150 Lightning, the Platinum, the red one, all the way up here, and I wanted to see an egg. And that's the egg right up there. It's actually a performing arts center, and these are all government buildings over here. Over there, right over there, you can see that is the governor's mansion. And you've got a whole bunch of things over this way, over this way, over this way. Oh boy, what do we have over here? We have a couple of F-150 Lightnings. This one is a beautiful rigged up. This is actually a special truck. And I've seen this truck once before. I saw this truck on Long Island at Electrify Expo. And the owner of this truck is Joel Sholtes. And Joe is actually the president of the F-150 Lightning Owners Group, which I think started off maybe here in the Capital District of Albany. Then it expanded to the Northeast. I think he may be going national as well. If you don't know Joe, you're about to get to know him, because welcome to another episode of Your EV Journey. All right, so Joe, welcome to the channel, and thanks for meeting me here today.
Thanks for coming up.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your truck, Joe. This is first time I saw it was down in at Nassau Coliseum.
Yes.
And you've got some mods on this thing. But before we get into the mods, why don't you tell me just a little bit about the year, the trim, and all of that?
Sure. So this is my 2022 F-150 Lightning Lariat extended range. I got it back in June of 2022. And I mean, it's been the family vehicle since. We put about 30,000 miles on it already, and we love this thing. We take it everywhere we can.
That's great. And I see you've got the 20-inch wheels on here. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Those are the factory wheels and the factory tires. I really do like those wheels. A lot of people like to replace theirs on trucks. That's usually truck culture, to get the big rims and it just wasn't me. I really fell in love with these when I was ordering it, and I think I'm going to keep them.
Now, what options do you have on your truck?
Just the extended range battery and the towing technology package. I didn't get the max tow package because at the time the taxes, if it went over a certain price, it wouldn't have qualified. So
I see.
I tried to stay under that, and I didn't do the max tow package, but I do tow a 36-foot camper with this thing.
Do you really?
I do, and it doesn't have an issue at all.
Wow. And you go over long distances?
Yeah, we've taken it from here to Maine last summer, and we're actually headed down south, just near Pennsylvania, in actually next weekend.
Wow, you're brave doing that. That's good. Where'd you go up to? Acadia?
We actually went to it was a KOA in Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Very, very cool. All right, so then what mods have you done? I see this rack on the back that just is, that's unique.
Yeah.
What is it that you're carrying up there? Just like your camping gear and stuff?
So I used to have a overland tent on the back here on these bars, these billy bars, that fit normal F-150s and still fits the F-150 Lightning as well. But I got rid of the overland tent and switched over to the camper. My wife and I, she wanted an AC in the camper, and I had no choice. I had to sell the tent and get the camper. So
Yeah.
this is actually a cargo rack that I threw on top. My son is very into the e-mobility. We saw each other at Electrify Expo. He actually bought an e-bike there.
Oh, nice.
I bought it for him. He's only 4. But we bring a bunch of stuff with us to keep him occupied while we're camping. So that's really what the rack's for.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then what other mods have you done on this?
Only other things, I did have the windows tinted. I have a short stubby antenna. The long one was really killing me for the AM radio, so I switched over to the smaller one. And then up on the front, I do have the Putco LED Ford logo that lights up when it starts.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And how did you tap into the power for that? Was that?
So I
got a bee buzzing me, Joe. This bee is electric.
So I actually had the dealer install it, DePaula Ford here in Albany. They had a little issues because they didn't have the wiring diagrams yet. So I actually had to walk them through on the phone what fuse to use to actually hook it up and get it to go. So
yeah.
yep. you know, I did all the research on the forums and stuff to try to help them out, and we
Very
ended up
cool.
getting it to work. So one other modification I did do with the truck is I actually got the electrified F-150 inlet for the tailgate. I've had it on every single truck, and it's just normally a solid color, but I felt it was really necessary to get the electric lightning bolts in there, and it's actually reflective at night, so when headlights hit it, it really lights up. It's really cool.
That looks good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, wait a minute. My Platinum doesn't have that. What's going on over here, Ford? Come on. I mean, I think that really would just jump off the whole tailgate.
It does, and a lot of people ended up jumping on the same bandwagon. I posted it in a couple of Facebook groups and forums, and the guy sold out pretty quick.
Wow, yeah, that looks great. Well, listen, what I'd love to do is jump in your truck, go for a ride, get to know you a little bit about just about you and how you got into electric vehicles, and also hear a lot more about the F-150 Lightning Club as well. So what do you say we go for a ride, and let's go tour Albany, New York.
I'm in it.
All right. So Joe, it's great to be up in Albany. You know, my sister went to Albany State.
Oh yeah.
And when I was 15, I went to a bar called O'Heaney's and drank beer, and I shouldn't have done it. And Mom, I'm sorry for telling the truth. Be mad at my sister for that one. But you know, listen, you know, we got the Hudson River over here on the right.
Yep.
I've come through here an awful lot over the years, and I know that you live here. But you know, I'm excited to hear your story as to how you got into electric vehicles most recently.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious just about you. You know, you're starting to become a relatively big deal in the F-150 circle, Joe. You know,
it's all unintended. I promise.
Well, listen, you know, when you do good things, sometimes good things follow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're super busy just trying to keep up with the growth of the F-150 club.
It really is a second job at this point.
I would imagine so. But let's back up to when you were a kid. Where were you born, and are you from this area?
Yeah, I was born right here. I've been here all 35 years of my life. I was actually born in a neighboring city, and my parents and I, we live in a suburban area called Colony.
Oh yeah.
It's about 10 minutes out from here.
Sure. Isn't there a mall there?
There is. Yeah,
yeah.
Tesla supercharger there.
And that place gets busy.
It does.
It's not.
There's only like 4 stalls.
I know, and it's not in the greatest spot.
Nope.
Especially around the holidays.
It's really rough.
So we used to sometimes charge when we were coming home from our house in Stratton, and we would come home this way. But yeah, so all right. So you've been in this area, and when you were a kid, what did your parents drive?
My parents were actually Chevy. Growing up, my dad always had a pickup truck, and that's kind of where my love for pickup trucks came from. But I switched over, I want to say it was 7 years ago now. I actually jumped into a 2017 F-150. I think it was an EcoBoost at the time. I had a Chevy before that, and I really wasn't impressed with the engine response, and when I switched over to Ford with the EcoBoost, I was instantly sold.
Yeah, that engine is really it's quite an amazing engine.
You could just feel the difference instantly in the pedal.
Is that a 6-cylinder?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was as well. So what was your first car?
My first car was actually a 1989 Oldsmobile Regency.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Big tank.
What color was it? Was it beige?
Dark blue.
Dark blue. Okay. Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't beige.
It was nice.
You know. Okay.
It was luxury for a 16-year-old.
Listen, you know what? What's luxury when you're 16 is having a car.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, just the ability to have a car, and it buys you freedom.
Yeah.
And so, how long did you keep that rig for?
I had that for God. I got rid of it in 2010. The heating element went on it.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up getting a Chevy HHR, which I squeezed my giant self into.
Right.
That was my first car payment I ever
Well,
had.
you and I both are not small guys. You know, the two big guys in a big truck today is what we got going on.
That's exactly what I buy a truck for, man.
Yeah. Were you at the event when I was driving that F-150, or not the F-1, the Mustang Mach-E?
Oh yes, yeah.
And did you see the guy from Ford? He had to push my head in, like he was like jamming me in. It was so funny.
They wouldn't let me ride because I was too tall.
Oh man, I just must made the cut because
that was a squeeze. I heard
that was tight. Once I got in there, I was okay.
Yeah.
I was all right. So you had an HHR.
Yes.
I've never met anyone that had an HHR.
Yeah, that was my first car payment. It was actually a used car that I bought
Okay.
from my parents' salesman. That they've been dealing with him since I was a kid. And I think 1996 or something like that was when they started doing business with him. So
Right. Now,
um,
was that a rear wheel drive car, or was that?
it was front wheel
It was
drive.
front. Okay,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was going to say up here in the Albany area,
It was rough.
you got to have the proper tires.
You definitely learned how to drive in the snow in the front wheel drive car up here.
Yeah. Um, cool. And then what'd you get after that?
After that, I switched actually to a Nissan Maxima. I got that.
Okay.
It was a 2013. I leased that for a couple of years, and then that's when I switched into the pickup trucks.
Got it.
I got I want to say it was 2009 Chevy Silverado.
Right.
It was used. It had aftermarket wheels. It was really souped up. It was really cool for a first pickup truck. It was very
Sure.
exciting to have.
And the reason why you went for a pickup, was that always just in the back of your mind as being a kid
Yeah.
and driving good memories with your dad?
Exactly.
Okay.
Um,
And was that a quad cab like this, or?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was.
It
Okay.
was. It was actually the double cab there, full cab in the back. And,
Right.
I actually never did the smaller cabs until I bought a new truck. I actually bought a Silverado after that one.
Mhm.
It was dark green. It was really cool. My brother had a blue one of the same year. My dad had a maroon one, and I had the green one. They were all matching. It was really
Oh, that's cool.
really cool.
That is cool.
And then I test drove a Ford a couple of years later, and I went, "Yep, I'm done."
Yeah.
Like, I was instantly sold.
You know what's funny? When the kids were growing up, Kyle and Katie, we were always Suburban or Escalade with the sport utes.
Yep.
But we were always Ford pickup.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't an Expedition guy. I wasn't a Navigator guy.
Yep.
I was more. I never had what was the GMC version?
Oh, the Sierra.
No, of like
SUV.
Yeah, the SUV.
Denali.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Yukon Denali.
Yep,
I never. Although those were beautiful, but I've always loved Ford pickup trucks.
Yep.
And there's just something a little bit special about them. When did you start thinking about electric vehicles, and what caught your eye with this F-150 Lightning? I'm just curious about how you transitioned over to this, because that's a big jump up from this is a gorgeous vehicle. I
Yep.
mean, congrats to you for doing that. Tell me a little bit about your interest in electric.
So back in 2019, 2019, I was switching from my first F-150 lease into another one. I kind of started playing with the idea of maybe switching over to a Tesla. Really the only mass-produced EV at the time that
Yep.
was, a decent range and such. I started looking into it, and I just couldn't get over getting rid of my pickup truck. I was towing a jet ski at the time.
Right.
I had all my toys and stuff for a truck. I've had a truck for, what was it, 6 years at that point. So it was really hard for me to just go, yeah, I'm going to get rid of the pickup truck and go to a sedan. That was just very hard to sell myself on.
Yeah.
I leased that in January of 2020 actually is when I signed the paperwork. And I think 4 months later, they announced this truck. And I immediately went, well, I'm so glad I stuck with my truck, and I'm definitely getting that.
Right.
There was just little inklings on the internet that it was going to be coming out. And
Right. When you saw the frunk, that must have been like, everybody I've talked to says that the frunk has sold more F-150s just because, like the guys I was with earlier today with Jay and Mike.
Yeah.
They put their golf clubs up there, and they don't have to worry about them being stolen or getting wet or what have you.
My wife loves putting her purse up there when we go places.
Yes.
If she doesn't want to carry it with her.
Right.
Because it's just a guarantee that it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, people don't know. I mean, look, this is an F-150. When people look at it, you got to know what you're looking at.
Right.
If it says Lightning, even for me, I don't really see the difference.
Yep.
There's little cues and little things that you can pick up on, but it's really an F-150 through and through.
It is.
Wow. So you were psyched when you saw this being announced.
I instantly became obsessed with it. Any little tidbit I could find on the internet, I was scouring every day.
Right.
My coworkers got very annoyed hearing all the new updates I had every day. I could
Right.
find something.
What? Oh, by the way, what do you do for a living? I haven't even asked you this.
I'm actually a 911 dispatcher for the town of
Wow.
Colony here, where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So for in the town here in the town of Colony.
Yes.
And did you go to school for that, or how did you get that job?
So I actually went to school for criminal justice. I've always had a passion for criminal justice growing up.
Okay.
My uncles were police officers, and I kind of wanted to go in the same footsteps. Ended up finding the dispatch center before I got hired as a police officer, and instantly fell in love with the chaos, the different chaos every day. It's not the same monotonous job. It's always something else going on.
Right.
And that's really what kept me on my toes and a challenge for my job, and it made it fulfilling for me.
Wow, that's good. Well, that must have prepared you for the CCS charging of the F-150, you know, the chaos, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there,
You're
you know.
absolutely right.
Like, I mean, if you're doing a lot of road tripping with this thing, are you, well, let's not jump quite there yet.
Yeah.
But so you put in an order for the F-150 when you heard that it was going to be available.
Yep.
How long did it take before you actually took delivery of the truck?
So I put my reservation in May of 2021 when the announcement was made on the YouTube Live. I actually built my order with my dealer January of 2022, and it was here on June 3rd of 2022.
Okay.
And I was at the dealership within 20 minutes of delivery.
What was the dealership experience like?
My dealership, I actually have worked with my salesman since my first Ford that I purchased. I actually got referred to him from one of my coworkers who's always bought his Fords from him. So I've had a very good, intimate relationship with him. I can text him whatever I need.
Right.
And he's always on top of it. He's fantastic.
And did he embrace the whole EV thing, or did you end up knowing way more about it than he did?
I'm actually now his lightning guy. So he has any questions about any of the displays or the numbers, or, he's called me a couple times on things and, hey, what the heck does this mean? And I've had to walk him through it on the phone with a customer sitting in front of him.
Yeah, I did that twice today with Mike Gilbert. And now that I have your cell phone number, I'm going to be calling you too. Just a heads up.
I gladly take somebody to lightning school.
Today I was trying to figure out, where do you see the state of charge? Now I see you've got the latest update that you can see 65, but on the vehicle that I have, this loan from, I don't have that.
So I'm actually part of the early access program. I do have the beta software on here.
Yeah, but they gave me the truck to evaluate it for it, and I'm like, my evaluation is, I felt stupid, Joe. I was like, where is this thing? It has to be here.
Yeah.
And so then,
if you do switch, there's a couple views here on the dashboard.
Yeah,
if you switch to the calm screen,
I know. Mike told me that, but I was like, I don't want to go to the calm screen.
I totally agree. I love all the information.
I like all that information.
Yeah, exactly.
I did notice that once you put it in the destination and the navigation, it does give you a lot of, gives you the temperature, the weather of where you're going to arrive. Yes. It gives you the state of charge, what you're going to arrive.
It does traffic as well.
It's pretty good. I was pleased with that. But okay, so now you're waiting for your F-150 to come in, and then you get the call.
So I got the text message. It was, I think it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm hanging out with my son at home.
Right.
He's playing in the backyard, and my dealer sends me a picture. Doesn't say a word, just a picture of my truck on the trailer pulling into the dealership.
Right.
And my response was, "I'll be right there."
Yeah.
And I scooped my little guy off the slide, and we booked it over.
And now your son is totally into this as well, right?
He knows every spec about this truck.
Oh man, he's a car guy. A truck guy.
He's become an electric truck guy.
That's great.
If he sees any gas cars driving on the road, he'll ask me, hey, Dad, what's that? Oh, it's a gas car, and he'll raspberry it.
Right.
He's very passionate about electric vehicles.
That's great. Is he into the numbers and the specs and all that?
He knows the 0 to 60 is 3.8 seconds. He knows the horsepower.
And he's how old?
He's 4.
4 years old.
He loves this thing.
Well, 4 rhymes with Ford, so I mean, most likely he's going to be a loyal Ford guy,
just
like you were.
He's gotten a couple job offers already.
That's so funny. We should have brought him. Should have had him in here. All right, so you took delivery, and what month and year was that then?
June 2022.
Okay.
It arrived June 3rd. June 2nd, and then I signed the papers on June 3rd.
Okay. All right, and how many miles do you have on it so far?
At the moment, 29,746.
Wow. You have more miles on your truck than Mike Gilbert has on his, and he's a traveling salesman. What are you doing? Where are you going?
We road trip a lot. Recently with the Northeast Lightning Club, I've been going all over the Northeast with the truck, and
Okay.
we have our camper that we tow with this, so we take it camping pretty good distances. And it's just owning this truck with the lack of cost of, not having to pay $100 at the pump every time I take it out.
Right.
It really opened up for my family where we can go. We've taken it out to the complete west side of New York State, on a family road trip. We've gone to Boston. We've gone, and we always just drive now. We don't, take the train or anything like that anymore.
Right.
Because it's just easier to get in the car and let it drive itself.
And what's the other family car that you guys have?
At the moment, we have a Ford Edge.
Okay.
That's my wife's work car, basically.
All right.
She does have a Mach-E on order that we ordered
nice.
last month. So
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. She's getting the Mach-E 1400.
I wish. I would steal that in a heartbeat from
I
her.
know. There's only one in the world, right? And
Yeah.
it's not for sale.
No, not at all.
Your wife is drift wife. It's like like Colette, right? She's amazing driver.
Yes, she
I
is.
just felt completely comfortable with
That was
her at the wheel.
impressive. That was
Yeah,
so
I mean,
impressive.
I don't know what it is about that car, but when it's on rails, I freak out. As soon as it lets loose, I get calm. Then I feel like she's in control.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so tell me a little bit about this Lightning Club.
Yeah.
And how that all started, and how you've gotten to this leadership position with that. And I'm proud of you, first of all, for doing it. Everyone seems to know you.
It's
And
becoming.
they kept saying, Dave, have you met Joe yet? I'm like, who's Joe? I don't know Joe. Joe? So tell me about how all that came to be.
Yeah, so back in October of 2022, actually a little bit before that, I was on the forums and a couple of the Facebook groups, just trying to get other owners to meet up.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to see what everyone else was doing with their Lightnings. At the time, there was very little accessories out there and everything, so I just wanted to see what everyone else was doing and meet other like-minded people that were lucky enough to get these trucks.
Right. Can I back up a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you pay a premium?
Nope. I paid MSRP.
Okay, good.
My dealer he took care of me more than.
Right, but do you know if the dealer charged others premium?
There was rumors of my dealership doing that. I never was able to confirm that.
Yeah, it's just like just my own personal pet peeve is I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
Because to me, if a corporation has made a truck that really is worthy of extra money, then the value of that truck should go to the corporation, not to the dealer. But look, I also understand that we've been through a kind of a wacky time with respect to cars.
Yep.
And the allocation of cars was very low, and I know that a lot of dealers were trying to keep their employees, employed, right, during COVID. And so I kind of see both sides of it, but it got a little wacky there. Some of the stories I heard and some of the things I went through when I was trying to buy some cars really upset me. And I do not have a short memory for that.
Yeah.
I just don't. So
these were rolling off the line right at the end of, the shortages of the chips and everything else,
Right.
There was nothing on the lot when I went to pick up the truck,
Yeah.
Now it's a lot better. You see a lot more new cars sitting on the lot again.
Yeah, and I want to get to that, and I want to understand from your perspective the supply demand on the F-150 Lightnings. But go back to the club. Tell me about that and how that came to be.
Yeah, so we got talking on the forums. There was a local group here in Albany, New York, that we were trying to get together, and a couple people were, hey, mine's not going to be here for a couple more months if we just wait. And we ended up holding out till about October. I think it was mid-October. We ended up choosing the location of Chicopee, Massachusetts. We got a lot of Massachusetts heavy owners right out the gate. Massachusetts had amazing government rebates with the Massachusetts matched the federal rebate, but it was in cash. So they would give you
$7,500 on the hood.
On the hood.
Wow. I did not know that.
I didn't either, and I got out there. And
that's almost worth moving to Massachusetts for.
I kind of wanted to move.
Wow. I mean, I'm thinking about moving to Jersey because there's no sales tax on EVs. Yep. But $7,500 on the hood.
Yeah, it was. They made out like bandits up there. There were certain restrictions. One of our admins actually was very knowledgeable in that and helped a lot of the guys out there get their $7,500 checks.
Right.
You had to have certain tires, certain GVW.
Yes.
So there was very, very big stipulations in Massachusetts, but if you made them, you really
You know,
paid
it's
off.
funny. I was talking to Mike and Jay earlier today down in Winston,
Mhm.
Connecticut, at the Lake House,
Yeah.
and I think Mike got the 7500, but because of the tires
Yes.
that Jay had, it pushed it over so the GVWR
Yep.
was slightly higher, and it
Exactly.
didn't qualify for the 7500 just
Yep.
because of a. So
Just
it
because of
wasn't
a
enough.
tire change.
Yeah, just because of the tire change.
Yeah.
So in other words, you could be super excited about getting a truck. Your allocation comes in,
Yep.
and all of a sudden you've got a truck that doesn't qualify for the 7500. Do you
From
want
the
it?
state.
Well,
Yeah, the federal you would still get, but the state you wouldn't
is
get.
that what it was? The
Yeah.
federal? Okay, maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, so there was two of them. There was 7,500 from the state of Massachusetts, and it was 7,500 from the federal government.
I see.
So
Well, I
you
think
could
they were
get both.
talking about the federal because it said it was no longer a passenger vehicle. It was more of a
Commercial.
commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Jay, he had a combo plate on his truck,
Yep.
whereas Mike didn't.
Yep.
And so I think there was something in there. But okay, go
There
ahead.
was a lot of dealers actually in New York State that were registering these as commercial vehicles because of their weight,
Yeah.
the rating. And my dealer didn't do that because I actually had custom plates already on my previous truck.
Oh, I see.
I ordered the Lightning custom plates in October of 2021
In anticipation.
in anticipation
That's
of
pretty
getting my
cool.
truck, and I looked like a weirdo driving around with a gas truck.
Although, if you remember the throwback to the Lightning, remember
Yes.
when they had the F-150? I think that was a turbo.
It was an SVT. And
SVP,
Yep.
SVT,
Yep.
yeah, that was a fast truck back in the day.
Those were amazing, and I've actually found a couple. Last summer we were doing car show, basically a circuit. Me and my son would go to car shows and show this off because I was just so excited about it, and no one really had one, so I took it to as many places as I could.
Right.
And we ended up finding a guy that had an SVT. It was white, just like mine. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, call me and we'll take some pictures." And it never ended up happening.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have a deep appreciation for the history of Lightning, but I think now that it's an electric vehicle, it's amazing. I mean, you can't beat this.
Yeah.
580 horsepower
I know.
out the gate every time. It's insane.
so fast. It's just quick, and it just rides great. Rides quiet. Like I think I was telling you earlier when I first came out. I call it the waft mobile now.
Yeah.
It's just like whoa.
It's like
just,
riding a cloud at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, back to the club.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's me. I'm throwing curveballs at you all day.
So we met out in Massachusetts. There was 12 of us on the original meet, and most of the 12 that were there actually have become my admin group. We really run the club as a team. I don't want to have sole control over everyone's clubs. We over the summer we actually went national. There was a lot of interest to branch out and kind of grow the brand. And we went all the way up into Canada and then down to Texas and all the way out to California. So we have 6 clubs at the moment, and it's the same concept. I'm just here to help you out if you need it, but build your own team. Get a team of admins that can help you with this, and you set your own events up, and that's what we ended up doing. The Northeast Club, about a month after our first meetup, ended up getting asked to help pilot or bring an electric airplane to set a couple of Guinness World Records.
Yeah.
And that really solidified.
Remy.
Yes,
Remy Octay. Yeah, I was there. I filmed when he landed in Danbury.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really solidified our club because we came through really. I'm really proud of the group that we created. I actually fell off the trip after the first couple airports. I charged the airplane and I got myself down to like 10%, and I couldn't find a charger anywhere near me that would get me back on schedule to meet up with the team. So what we ended up doing was texting a couple other group members that were just getting out of work, and they met up and completed the rest of the
How did you get the device that you had to put in the back here over to those other?
So
that must have been because that device is not on the plane, right?
Yep. So it was a giant converter, basically.
Right.
And it took up the whole back seat.
Yeah, I know.
Mike was my teammate on my team that you talked to, and we actually switched off. They called it the football. We switched it off to his truck because he still had full charge. And I went to go charge and meet up at the next airport, and it just didn't happen.
Right.
So because we passed it off to him, he was able to take it all the way to the end.
Yeah. That was a great event. So an incredible sort of example as to some of the things that you've been able to do through creating the club.
Yeah,
What are the like? What's the mission of the club though? It's not really so much a social thing, although I would imagine that's a side benefit.
yeah.
But it's tell me a little bit about like your mission of the club.
The mission of the club is really the same as a Mustang car club. It's just a car club, is what my intentions were, and it's become a family.
Right.
We have so many amazing people in our club, and I keep meeting new people every time we go out to an event, and it's just it's great. I mean, we all have there's over 200 of us now in our Facebook group.
Wow.
And more on our mailing list. We have multiple ways to contact our members just because of people's preferences. So we kind of branched out in that way, and it's just we always have that social aspect, and just bringing our Lightning owners together to, again, they're like-minded people, to just
Right.
bring them together and have a good time.
And Ford's been very supportive of you, haven't they? I mean,
Absolutely.
like my observation of meeting some of the folks from Ford is they're very proud of what you've done, number
Yeah.
one, and they're trying to encourage you. I wonder if they'll do a mass mailing for you.
That would be great.
Free sticker.
Everyone that owns a Lightning.
Yeah, everyone that owns a Lightning. That next thing
free
you know, you're gonna have to quit your 911 job, though. And then you won't have any pay.
Yeah.
So then what do you do?
Ford actually reached out to me back in March of 2022, or excuse me, 23.
Right.
And they saw what the club was becoming. We were growing pretty decent at the time over the winter, and he asked me to meet up with them and an engineer from Ford. He wanted to show us some new pro trailer backup that nobody has yet. It is coming before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But the truck will actually back itself up to the trailer hitch.
Oh,
It
wow.
sees it automatically with AI.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's really impressive, especially with towing. Like I'm all for it. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
So we met up there, and we brought the original admins from that first meetup
One
out.
quick second. Are we still heading away, or are we heading back?
We are heading away. There's another Lightning there.
You can flip it around and we can head back.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on the highway.
So we'll go back on the highway.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
So we met up there, and we had the original owners that we met up with originally come out, and I'm sorry, I was just looking at the roads here.
Yeah.
We all met out there and ended up meeting up with Ford, and a few weeks later, I got invited to the New York Auto Show with Ford at the press event. I was able to see all the vehicles and stuff with the press, and there's no restrictions like it is for the general public.
Yeah, I know.
Really cool.
You go to the press days. They're great.
And I got asked at that event if I wanted to go to Norway and tell my story about my life.
Really?
I didn't know at the time what was going on. He only asked me if I had a passport at the time.
Wow.
But I ended up making the trip to Norway to bring the Lightning to the Norwegians,
Right.
and tell my story on stage with Per Gunner and their team. The Norway team was absolutely phenomenal. The nicest people you've ever met.
Wow.
And that country was gorgeous. I've never ever been that far
Yeah.
out of the United States.
My son goes up to Norway quite often,
Yeah.
and I know that he loves it there.
It was very exciting to hear that the Lightning was going to the EV capital of the world.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
I had already known about it to an extent, so it was really cool to actually see it in person.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, so they brought me and another owner from Ohio, Jace, who actually runs the Great Lakes Lightning Club.
Okay.
Brought both of us out, and it was absolutely amazing.
That's what a great opportunity, Joe, to do that.
Yeah, and it was. I can't say how appreciative I am of just that trip alone. And after that trip, Ford has been substantial in any of our meetups now.
Right.
They actually are helping encourage and plan. The Electrify Expo, we had an event just before, and we were included in the expo because of Ford doing all the planning on their end. So
right, that's where we met
Yes.
that day, and then we saw each other in Brooklyn with the launch of the Platinum Black, which
Yes.
was a fun event.
that was great. That was awesome.
That was a great. I loved it when Mike came in and he saw his truck. I said, when I saw him pull up outside on the street,
You knew.
I was like, this dude is gonna freak out when he sees.
I was wondering why you were asking about it.
I know. I was like, yeah, because you didn't know what it was.
No idea.
Yeah, and I had already been in there and filmed,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh man. And I went in and I told one of the guys from Ford, I said, yeah, this guy's gonna lose it. He goes, that's why we invited him. So
I was wondering why he came all the way up from DC, and that made total sense when I saw
he
that
was
truck.
completely caught off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a special thing. So if someone wants to join, whether it's your club, you're still maintaining the Northeast Club, but now
Yes.
you've got 6 affiliates in total.
Yep.
What's the best way for them to reach out to join?
So we actually have a website now. It's www.lightningclubsofamerica.org. On there, you can figure out which club you actually fall into their jurisdiction.
Right.
And also, if you don't have a club in your jurisdiction, we actually invite you to run your own club and start it. And I'm 100% here for all these club admins that start their own clubs. Between graphics, between setting up the Facebook groups and the Twitter handles and all that stuff. I'm more than willing to help them out and get them on their feet and build a team.
And then I know that I'm just going to see right over here.
Yeah.
This is the sticker for the F-150 Northeast Lightning Club.
Yes.
Do you give everyone the same format, or do you give them leeway to create their own?
So there is a little bit
look?
of leeway. The person that I actually have the graphic designing runs this club in Texas.
Okay.
He is very, very. He's been so important to all the clubs, creating all between our newsletter and the logos and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He's very flexible with whatever we want on it. The California club has a couple state of California logos on it's the Bay Area club. Lone Star has the Texas flag, and the Canadian club, the Toronto club, actually has the Canadian flag instead of the American flag on it. So,
and how do you fund the whole thing?
all out of pocket.
All out of pocket.
Yeah, I've done it all out
All right,
of my own
Ford.
pocket.
You know what? You know what I'm about to say, Ford? Okay, I know you're watching this. Help these guys. Come on, help them out. I know that. Listen, there's a lot to be said for being completely independent.
Yeah.
Help is good. Funding it takes it to another level, and that can have a double-edged sword to it, right? Yeah. I think it's important to keep that independence, but that's really quite an impressive thing. So what's sort of where do you see the club 3 years from now?
I hope that we're in a lot more areas of the country. There are still some gaps, but I mean it's only going to grow. The more Lightnings that get on the road, the more members we'll have, and I don't foresee us going away anytime soon.
Right.
I'm hoping for a lot more special events that we had with the airplane. These trucks have a lot of capabilities, and a lot of our members love to use them.
Yeah.
In that aspect. So I really hope that we can at least double the amount of clubs we have, and
all right, so bigger, better, faster, more.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Absolutely.
All right, so everybody out there, if you have an F-150 Lightning, or if you know someone that does, and they're not part of this club, what I like that you're doing is you're creating a culture, right? Which is camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's what's so much fun is, my wife Kathy and I, we built a couple of houses. One we built up in the woods in Vermont. We were the only ones building the house.
Mm-hmm.
We were all on our own.
Yep.
And the other one we built on Long Island, more of a development.
Yes.
And we were all building the house at the same time, and everybody got to know each other.
Yeah.
And we all shared stories with each other, and we helped each other. And we've become like some of the people that when we built that house years ago, we're like best friends with them now. Exactly. As a result of it.
Yep.
And so when there is that common thread or that common denominator to keep people together, it's really such a powerful thing to do that. Now, I want to go off and talk a little bit about the vehicle itself and some of the challenges that I'm hearing in terms of them being able to sell the trucks.
Yes.
And I don't really know much about it. I haven't done any statistics but I'm hearing anecdotally that Ford is having trouble selling the F-150s, and I want to pick your brain a little bit about that, just to kind of see why do you think that's the case? What's going on here with the market? I mean, rates are high.
Yeah.
the trucks aren't cheap,
Yep.
right? And I guess the question is, why are they having trouble selling them? Because while there's competition in the marketplace, right? We've got the Rivian R1, the R1T.
Yep.
We've got the Silverado that now it's going to be launched next year, but we've seen the vehicle out there.
Yep.
We've got the big elephant in the room, right?
The Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck,
Yes.
the CT.
Yes.
I thought CT was Connecticut, where I live.
It
But,
used to be.
It used to be. And now the CT stands for Cybertruck.
Exactly.
Now, But and I'm just wondering if, because Ford was the first one to bring out an electric truck, they scraped off all the cream of the crop for the people that were looking for them. Now there's a lot of choice, even though they may not be able to buy it yet. They may be saying,
Holding
out. I mean, but what are your thoughts?
It's tough. I mean, I think right now we're in really a silent storm in regards to the market. Between the rates being so high and the prices of these trucks aren't cheap. They're not. But mine was only $2,000 more than a gas version of this.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah,
Is that after all the federal tax?
No, that was before.
That was before.
Yeah, that was before all the federal tax return and stuff. So, when you factor in how much this cost me at home, like here in Albany, it cost me a penny per kilowatt overnight. So it's really hard to like argue that you're spending that extra money, but you're really not. You're making that up in your fuel costs real quick.
How do you get the electricity rate down to a penny per kilowatt?
So between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., they call it the off-peak rate, and National Grid here gives us the rate of a penny per kilowatt for electric vehicle owners, as long as you can prove you own the vehicle.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you get like a special meter that tells the time, and it charges you differently as you go. So
that's great.
I've been extremely fortunate just to have this truck, but I feel like right now everyone's kind of holding back just in general. A lot of people can't buy houses in this area right now.
Yeah.
They try and they get outbid because people are scrounging to give houses, and the rates for those are insane too. So
yeah.
I think we're just on a cusp of really tough times, and I think people are holding back.
Right.
Making that big expenditure to jump into something.
Because look, I've been driving the truck now since Tuesday. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
There's no issue with this truck.
No.
The truck is amazing.
It's every bit of what my gas trucks were and more.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's switch gears to charging.
Yeah.
I know that you've got almost 30,000 miles on this truck, that's a lot of driving, my friend.
It is.
Okay.
Well, I mean, some of it's the truck driving. Let's not forget about Blue Crew's doing all the work.
Well, I mean, you're just a passenger on this ride,
At the
right?
moment, we are.
Yeah, you're just cruising down the road. I think it's interesting how Ford, they actually say you don't need to keep your hands on the wheel. I don't know. I seem to be a little bit more conservative, but I see the way you're sitting there. You're just like, twiddling your thumbs and, whatever. But tell me about your charging experience, and how has it been?
It sucks.
Yeah.
There's no short or long answer to that. It really just is not where it needs to be for mass adoption.
Right.
Right now, the past couple months, I've been doing a lot of road tripping between events with the Northeast Lightning Club and my family, and I've had terrible luck. The other night we were leaving Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was driving home that night, and I actually stopped in Newburgh, New York, to charge at a Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
4 stalls, 1 was working, and luckily I was the only one there at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I don't want to say anything, but 1 o'clock in the morning at any Walmart's not good, especially Newburgh.
Yeah.
I mean,
doors were locked while I was sitting there.
Listen, my mom grew up in Cornwall.
Yes.
And so I know Newburgh very well.
Yep.
But irrespective of location, though, what's the best charging session you've seen in this F-150 Lightning from a peak, and then how does it actually, the taper and the curve, what does it look like?
Yeah. So the truck is really the curve is really just it's not hard at all. Like between 20% and 80%, it maxes right up. Every video that I've watched between Kyle and Tom and everybody else testing this truck out before I got it, the curve really hasn't changed much that I could tell. My peak I've ever gotten on this is 167 kilowatts, and that was last summer. I've run into so many derated chargers now, so many broken chargers, and it's really unfortunate because I'm trying to encourage people to switch over to EV, and then I can't.
You know what I'm doing? I'm telling people don't buy EVs.
Exactly.
Right? Like, don't buy them because I'm being silly. I'm being a little bit joking, but like but for a CCS car right now, it's really ugly out there.
It's absolutely rough, and it's so much to learn. Coming from a gas truck to an electric truck, it was so much to try to figure out for myself. And luckily, we had people like you on YouTube that were teaching, what you guys already knew.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff has helped me over the time. But asking someone that didn't really want to switch to EV and, hey, man, this truck is great, come take a ride in it. Oh, but by the way, you can't really road trip it without having some sort of frustration or missing some sort of time schedule.
And by the way, you're also driving around with anxiety. So when you're pulling in, hey, because the way we road trip, right? Yeah. Well, we're pretty aggressive. Yeah. Probably downright stupid. Sometimes. At least I am. I mean,
0% has never been on my
0%. I know I got a 5% buffer. It's fine. 0% is fine. But the thing is, I'm relying on the fact that when I get there, that I'm going to be able to get juice, right? And so, with Tesla, I don't even think about it.
And that's very exciting for me for next year when the NACS charger becomes open to us as well with adapters.
Right.
Because right now it's always an anxiety. It's always a pull in and cross your fingers you're going to get a charge out of it, and at least not double your time at the charging station.
Right. It's sort of one of those things that when you vertically integrate anything in a business and you control all the different chains of the life cycle or the product build or what have you. So in Tesla's case, as we all know it, they build the cars, they build the chargers, they write the software, they they cut the deals with the energy companies, they do everything like that. Whereas with CCS, there are multiple charge point operators, and then within charge point operators, for example, EA, you've got multiple hardware devices, whether it's ABB, whether it's Signet, whether it's BTC. And then they're having to support multiple cars. So the problem is not, I fully, respect the business challenge that they have. But I'm curious about your thoughts next year when, Ford or GM or Volvo or all these firms, they start now saying, hey, great, you can now charge at a Tesla supercharger. My I don't want to say my concern, but my feeling is that, I guess my curiosity is, now that Tesla is going to be letting loose of that vertical integration and control, what is the experience going to be for a Ford F-150 or Mach-E user on Tesla? And is that going to hurt Tesla's reputation if they don't have a stellar charging experience?
Right.
So these are the kinds of things that are going through my mind right now.
So I've gotten a little taste of Tesla's charging network. We do have a Magic Dock about 40 minutes north of here. And the day it opened, I drove 45 minutes at 8 o'clock at night to go find out.
February 20, well, it was March 1st. It was like February 28th.
Yeah, it was a Sunday.
Yeah, and I remember it was snowing out, and I went to the Brewster one. So you did the same thing.
I did Malta, New York.
You did Malta, and I've been to Malta because I went up to Saratoga Springs. By the way, I love Saratoga Springs.
We're actually pretty close. We were
I know. I was like, wow, is that a great town?
We do love that city.
How have I never been there before? I'm like,
that and the Adirondacks are our favorite thing.
Yeah, please don't go to Saratoga Springs. You will not like it. Do not go to the restaurants. Do not
get yourself.
Just you'll hate it. But so Magic Dock. Right?
Yeah. So my wife thought I was crazy jumping out of bed at 8 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
Taking a 40-minute drive north for no reason.
Yeah.
But I was able to get a charge out of it. It wasn't the full 150 kilowatts. It was also the first day, and I think they worked that bug out a little while after. But just knowing that there's another 12,000 chargers that I can stop and plug into.
Yeah.
And it just takes a little bit of that anxiety away of, am I going to be able to get to a charger? Am I going to be able to get a charge out of it?
Right.
You know, Tesla has a great standing right now of their chargers are fairly reliable and not derated and not, you
Right.
know, so that part of the network is what excites me is their reliability, their control over the hardware and the software
Yes.
to make sure you get your charge.
Well, listen, you know, I'm not sure if you know this. We run Rate Your Charge.
Yes.
Right. So Kyle brainstormed that idea.
I love that
He
idea.
told me about it one day, and later that day he kicked it off and started. There was no business plan. It was just
Yeah.
like, boom, yeah, start putting it out on Twitter.
Yeah.
So Ryan, one of our guys on the team, he aggregates the data and puts out a report every Saturday.
I get the email.
You get the email?
I do.
Tesla's #1 every single
time.
week, right? Like you don't even have to, and EA is usually
The
last.
last every time.
You know, and so, but what I think is going to happen is we're going to build that up into something more than just Twitter. And I know there's a lot of people that don't even want to use Twitter or what have you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll turn into an app soon. Okay, so there'll be a lot more. But you know, we were frustrated with PlugShare just in terms of the data.
Yep.
Because if you get a charging session, and let's say, you know, in some of the high voltage cars that I run and have been running, my Lucid, for example, you know, I'll plug into a 350, they'll be nerfed at 50.
Yeah.
And then someone will say, oh, I was able to charge.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's not a good charge.
Right. It's still
but it's
doubling.
But it's a 10 out of 10
Yeah.
from a charging session. So we you know, we just want people to get the reality as far as the charging experience. We think things are going to get a lot more wild than they are now, because of Tesla is now going to have the one-to-one is going to go away, and it's going to be one-to-many.
Yep.
So we think we're in a growth business with respect to the data, and it's going to be interesting. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that when Ford engineers or when GM engineers the adapter to start, that it will just work.
Yeah.
And there will not be any charging issues.
Yep.
I think Tesla has it in their DNA that they will work that out, but it is a one-to-many problem now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to get interesting.
So you add more variables to anything, it's
more
going to cause issues.
More variables,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, listen, this has been terrific. I've loved getting to know you and your, and just hearing your story. And I'm proud of the where you're taking the club. Proud of what you do for a living. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope I never call you.
I hope so either.
I mean, I'd like to talk to you on your personal call, but not when I dial 911.
No, that's never.
But I'm sure you could tell us some crazy stories that you've heard.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear them. But you know, thank you so much for your dedication in that line of work, and it's great that Ford's recognizing, and not just Ford, but a lot of other people. So once again, if you could just let everyone know your website address, that'd be great.
So it's lightningclubsofamerica.org. And on there you can find each club's Facebook pages and Instagrams and Twitters, whatever floats your boat. And there's also a mailing list on there that you can sign up for, so you can get the events right to your inbox and your email.
Okay, great, excellent. Well, listen, I've really enjoyed this session, getting to know you over the last 2 weeks. I mean, you know, like I said, when I first saw you, I was like, okay, I got to be friends with this guy. I don't look up to too many people.
Absolutely.
You know, physically.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable having people.
And how tall are you?
I'm 6'8".
6'8".
Yeah,
oh, I
right.
said 7.
Yep.
I stole an inch from you.
That's okay. I'm
Oh,
old
man.
anyways.
Yeah, I think I'm shrinking. I think I'm only 6'4 3/4 now.
I think I'm going down too.
All right, well, Joe, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Out of Spec Dave. We appreciate everyone's hanging out with us today, and we will definitely catch you on the next one. I'm hoping to do more of these Your EV journeys. I know a lot of people have been saying, "Hey, Dave, what happened to them?" So we'll keep them going for sure. And Joe, thanks again.
Absolutely, Dave.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Great time. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Take care. You can just hit stop.